I looked at the other 3 initiates. Pyrrha looked concerned, Ren looked confused, and Nora... well, she was very excited. I was absolutely terrified. Even as I sat and spoke to them, my legs were shaking and my hands were numb. I could still hear the giant snake slithering nearby, waiting for its next meal. This truly defines my luck as far as I could remember. My voice, though, was strangely calm. The strategy comes out smoothly and efficiently. It wasn't a complex plan either. Nora runs for close-range offense, I run defense, Pyrrha uses her semblance to move us away, while she uses her rifle to get hits, while Nora and I distract it. Ren's job is to distract the other head, while we deal with the nearest head, while using his semblance to disappear. Does everyone understand? Ren nodded, while Nora was practically shaking with energy.
Yes! Let's go! I have been waiting to do this since we've seen the damn thing!
She laughed borderline maniacally. I looked at Nora cautiously, now a little nervous that I'm leaving the continuance of my life to someone like Nora. Though, with how little knowledge I have, I wonder if Pyrrha thinks the same thing as I just did. Maybe I'm judging too early. Maybe nothing bad will happen. Yeah, that makes sense. She's just an enthusiastic huntress. Is everyone ready? Because I can't guarantee the plan will work.
All we can do is hope for the best.
Ren's words hit like hammers. Not in the mushy-gushy buddy cop movie way. No, pure guilt. I got into Beacon because my dad sent in a referral. I just learned what an aura and a semblance were. I knew nothing of the outside world except through the fairy tales that my mom would tell me, and any history books I was reading at the time, which was not many. I spent most of my days watching Saturday morning cartoons or reading comic books. I didn't have the slightest clue how to beat these Grimm. I don't even know the various names for the types of Grimm. I was just getting more nervous by the second. I looked at Pyrrha, and her eyes told me that she felt apologetic. I don't know why. It wasn't her fault that I'm an idiot. As if reading my mind, Pyrrha put a hand on my shoulder. Her green eyes and smile brighten this dark cave.
We trust you.
Most people would love to hear that. I, on the other hand, felt the pressure of the situation. If I make one wrong move, or this plan goes completely sideways, we're done for. Okay, we're gonna wait another hour and see if it loses interest. If it does, great. At least now we have a plan, just in case. I looked towards the mouth of the cave, the rumbling of the King Taijitu roaming about still very much there. I said a silent prayer to whichever god was listening to help us at least survive initiation. The hour-long wait was tense, at least for me. Everyone else was checking ammo and making sure their aura was at top strength. I, on the other hand, was looking at the fire, constantly trying not to freak out. I was terrified of the stupid bear. This is a giant snake. It's time, I said, standing up, drawing my sword and extending my shield. My body was shaking, but I couldn't run away. We walked down the cave, the mouth getting closer. Once we get out there, we run. Everyone nodded in agreement. As I started picking up speed, they followed. It felt almost wrong how quickly they were willing to follow me. They all felt more confident and competent than I was. Why follow me? I just sighed and tightened my grip. When I saw more light, I started sprinting as fast as I could. They all outran me, but that was fine. As long as Nora waits for me to be her defense, we'll be standing good. The snake barreled through the trees in front of us. Pyrrha immediately skidded to a stop as we ran past her, as I heard the cracks of her rifle going off. Ren went into the trees in an attempt to flank the snake. So far, the plan was moving forward perfectly. The snake, while getting pelted by the shots from Pyrrha, was looking at Nora and I. "Nora, hit it where you can!" I shouted as it rose its head, getting ready to strike. Nora smiled and leaped into the air, using a grenade explosion to help further her up. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but I figured I'm not going to stop her doing her thing. I watched her grenade launcher turn into a giant hammer, where she met the rising head with a thunderous strike. I looked around and saw that the other head was busy with a much more acrobatic Ren. I actually smiled a second, proud that things were going well, but as usual, I can't get too happy, because there's still a giant snake situation. The white snake head we were facing was dazed, and once Nora landed, she immediately ran towards the main part of the body and hit there too. I was still hearing the shots ring from Pyrrha's rifle, the bullets deflecting on its skin. I charged forward and went to strike the snake, and felt the sword cut, but no damage was visible on the creature. So I tried it again, but still nothing. Nora was trying to knock it back with various swings. All it seemed to do was move it back some. The snakehead looming above us was rearing to strike. It came down with such speed towards Nora, who was still focusing on doing damage. "Nora, get out of the way!" I ran and pushed her away, and blocked the strike so hard a small shock was sent through my body, and my aura was glowing a brilliant white around me, adding to the defense. Again, Nora hit the Grim with the hammer, dazing it once more. "Seems the head is its weakness." Nora shoulders her hammer, not even looking exhausted yet.
Well, then that makes this much easier. Crush its skull, help Ren. Move on.
I looked at the snake, hearing semi-automatic fire from Pyrrha and full automatic fire from Ren. Just have to think. At this rate, even if the head is the weakness, how many bonks is it gonna take to keep it down?
John, what are you thinking?
We're doing this wrong. If we keep going, we're just gonna run out of energy. The snakehead had regained focus. This is not gonna go our way today, is it? I had to think fast. Why don't we try a different place? We can't break through the scales, so why don't we try the inside? Nora looked shocked at first, but then smiled.
John, I like your type of crazy. What's the plan?
My voice cracked as I explained. Well, I will jump in its mouth and you shoot a couple of grenades down its throat.
No. Come on, let's kick its ass while we think of another way.
She was already running. This was going to be a lot harder than if we just take a huge risk and have a chance to kill half of it quickly. Maybe even both halves. The King Taijidu head that Ren was fighting was starting to become more and more aggressive towards the green-clothed warrior. We had to work faster than this. One wrong move, I reminded myself. I charged forward, waving my shield in the air at the King Taijidu. It quickly took notice, stopping its focus on Nora and launched itself towards me. Which was the plan. Kind of. It came at me with a weird angle, so I couldn't prop its mouth open. I felt a tug on my armor, and was sent backwards. Pyrrha. She must have used her semblance. The snake again charged at me, this time in the way I needed it to. I started charging toward it. I heard Pyrrha cry out something, but it was so muffled over the sound of my heartbeat, I couldn't even take the time to think of what she could say. The maw of the snake Grim was around me, and right when the jaws were beginning to close, I lifted my arm and forced the mouth to stay open. My aura glowing brilliantly, as I'm sure I was straining my body to keep it open. "Nora!" I yelled, hoping to any god that would listen that she heard me. "A little help here!" I heard hurried footsteps. My eyes had long since closed, not wanting to stare into the abyss of the King Taijidu's gullet. "I don't care who it is, but if you have any form of explosive, fire as many of them as you can down its throat!" I heard the repeated thunk of Nora's grenade launcher, then felt the familiar tug of Pyrrha's semblance quickly pulling me out. My shield arm felt so numb now it wasn't holding the pressure of the giant snake's jaws. I opened my eyes slowly, in time to see the explosions happening throughout the King Taijidu's body. The white part of the snake collapsed, dead. The black part of the snake was still fighting Ren. "Nora, help Ren!" I panted out. My body felt drained. Nora nodded and ran to aid Ren. I felt a hand on my head. "Pyrrha,"
God, you are 10 levels of idiot, aren't you?
she said, worry drowning out her insult. "Well, never claimed to be the smartest man in the world."
Are you hurt anywhere?
"My shield arm feels like it weighs 200 pounds. I tried lifting it, but it was not budging. It didn't hurt, just felt numb and heavy. I faintly felt her touch my arm.
Nothing feels broken, luckily.
She exclaimed, as the fighting sounds against the other Taijidu head started to slow.
Don't do something like that again.
I felt relieved to hear that. though the relief was short-lived due to immediately being thumped on the head.
Do you know how close you were to dying? That was a stupid thing, Jean Arc. Promise me you will not do that again.
I wanted to protest, to use the fact that the Grim was dead as an argument, but looking to her furiously worried eyes, my argument vanished. Fine. I won't do it again. I didn't know if I could actually keep that promise. I didn't even know if I was going to survive by the end of initiation. But for Pyrrha, my partner, I'd at least try. My body felt worn out. How much aura did I use? I slowly tried getting up. My entire body was beginning to become sore as Ren and Nora came over to us. No doubt, to also check up on... Ow! Nora, what was that for?
You are truly one of the stupidest, craziest bastards I have ever fought with! Anything could have happened! Why didn't you just trust me that we could have thought of another way? But no, you just had to do the stupidest thing imaginable! Oh, look at me, I'm Jaune, and I don't care about being a huge dummy and just throwing my life away to the mouth of a giant breathing snake!
Nora was out of breath by the time her rant was over. Ren bemused at his girlfriend's rant, but when he looked at me, his stare became very serious.
She is right. You could have died. If that happened, not only would your life be extinguished, your family would be without a son, and Pyrrha would be sent back home knowing that her partner died because of his own foolishness. A martyr isn't someone who sacrifices himself. A martyr is someone who sacrifices himself for a cause.
The more I was scolded, the guiltier I felt. It worked though, right? Shouldn't that be enough? I remember my dad talking about chess. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the small pieces to take out a big piece. I just looked down and nodded. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and looked up to see both Ren and Nora smirking a little.
However, you did look pretty cool.
My brain sort of skipped a beat. Was I just complimented? Was I just called cool? Well, you know, an Arc always has to look his best when he's in a fight. Nobody laughed at it, but they didn't seem angry at least. I'll chalk that in as a win for me.